All right, we're going to go over quiz 2-3 version A. So make sure you have version A before you start watching this video and realize you actually should have watched version B. So on version A, number 1 says identify the slope of the line graph below. And remember, when you find slope from a graph, you need 2 points. So I'm going to pick the 2 points that seem the most, well, the easiest to find, and they have to be on the corners. So I have -3, 0. And then 0, -4. I'm going to write those out here as well on a table, which will help me in a little bit. So -3, 0, and 0, -4. And remember, when we count slope, we do rise or fall first. And this graph, first of all, this graph you should instantly say is negative. And when you say that, you get rid of all the positive answers. So my graph is falling, so it's going to be negative. And then it's going to run, and we'll figure out how much it runs. So it falls 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to -4. And then I run 1, 2, 3. So -4/3. And that means this right here, B, is my answer. Now, if you were to use your calculator, you would need those 2 points. And so on the calculator, you would get a new document and add a list and spreadsheet. Remember, at the top you put X and Y, and then you put your points. -3, 0, over here I have 0 and -4, and I'm matching the table that I wrote on my paper. And then we press menu 4, 1, 3. We change X to X and Y to Y, and then we go down and press OK, and it tells us the slope is -1.3 repeating. Well, I can either do 2 things. I can just write that down and then go type it into a calculator page, or I can press Control Copy, Control C, and it will copy it for me. You can't tell it's copied, but it is. And then press Control Doc and add a calculator page, and press Control V, and it will paste it for you. And then when I press menu, I want to pick a number, and then I'm going to pick change to fraction, and then push enter, and it will tell me my answer is -4/3. So that's how you could have used the calculator. Number 2, identify the slope and y-intercept of the following equation. Remember, y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. So that means my slope here is 3, which gets rid of a and b. And then my y-intercept is -7. So that gets rid of c, and so my answer was D. Nothing you really could have done on the calculator there. Number 3, what is the equation of the line graph below? Well, again, I need my slope. So I have 0, 2, and then 3, 0. If I were to write those points out, 0, 2, 3, 0. And again, my slope is negative. So instantly I should cross off any equation that has a positive slope, which really only eliminates choice B. And I'm counting down 2 and right 3. So I'm going to fall 2 and run 3, which means that's my slope. So I've eliminated now answer choice A. And then the other thing is I'm starting, my y-intercept is here at 0, 2. Remember, we said up above that the other number is your y-intercept. So this is -2/3 x plus 2. Which is answer choice C. Now, you could have used your calculator multiple ways on this one. You could have typed this into the list and spreadsheet page, just like I showed you for number 1. Or you could have actually taken your answer choices and typed them into a graph page to see which one matched. So, the most common wrong answer was D, because I don't think that y'all were paying attention. And so a couple things, if I were to go to a graph page and just type in 2/3 x, and then I put plus 3, you can see it crosses at 1, 2, 3. Whereas on our paper, it crosses here 1, 2. Okay? So it's only crossing at 2. So that would have eliminated that choice. So use your calculator in some shape, okay, if you can't count it by hand. Number 4, find the slope of the linear table below. Well, remember when we find slope from a table, we're finding the change in y and the change in x. So how do I get from here to here? I am adding 15. And then from here to here, I am adding 6. So my slope is the change in y over the change in x. And if I look at this first part, I have 15 over 6. So I'm going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to get a calculator page, and I'm going to type in 15 divided by 6. And press enter, and it will tell me my answer is 5 over 2. So I'm going to come back here and show you this is 5 over 2. If I were to look at the next spot, this one's saying I'm going up 5 and I'm going up 2, which matches 5 over 2. And then this last one says I'm adding 10 and I'm adding 4. And if I were to write it here as well, that's 10 over 4, which simplifies to 5 over 2. So every time I'm getting 5 over 2 as my slope. But this was a griddable question, so you can't type 5 over 2. So if you press 5 divided by 2 and you press Control Enter, it will give you the decimal, so 2.5. So that's what you should have put as your answer. Okay, again, on the calculator, you could have done a new document, list in spreadsheet, put X and Y at the top, and then typed in all of your numbers. So I have -6, 0, 2, 6, and then I have -20, -5, 0, and 10. And at this point, you again would press Menu, 4, 1, 3, change X for X and Y for Y, and press OK, and then it's showing you your slope is 2.5. All right, number 5, we want to find slope from 2 points. And so remember, when we find from 2 points, there's lots of ways you can do it. One is you could use the formula, which we talked about a little bit, labeling them x1, y1, x2, y2. And some of you may have done this using the formula. If you did, the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you would just plug the numbers in. y2 is 7. Minus y1 is -9, over x2 is 5, minus x1 is -2. And so if I go to my calculator, and I'm going to add a graph page or a calculator page, Control Doc lets you add pages, and I'm going to type this in, Control Divide, just like a fraction, 7 minus -9. On the bottom, I have 5 minus -2. So my answer is 16 over 7. The other option is you could have turned this into a table. X, Y, -2, -9, 5, and 7. You could have typed that into a list in spreadsheet and found your answer. Or you could figure out what's happening, right? The change in y. From -9 to 7, I'm adding 16. From -2 to 5, I'm adding 7, and my slope is change in y over change in x, which is 16 over 7. Number 6, This is one of the most missed questions. Okay? I'm going to show you two ways. One is that you can just use your graph and count. But remember, if you're counting on a graph, you do not want to use a decimal. So I would use this point instead, the y-intercept, which is 0, 3. And then I would go to this point 5, 2. And so again, this is a negative slope. So I'm falling, and then I'm going to run. Fall is my negative, so I'm going to fall 1, and then I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my slope. How do I change that to a decimal? I type it in, -1 divided by 5. Sorry, but you also need to press Control-Enter in order for it to give you the decimal. So there you go, -0.2. Now if instead you had used the points they gave you, so I'm going to, let's see, change out these numbers here. I'm going to put -3 and then 5 and 3.6 and 2. And how did I get those numbers? Well, that's the numbers they gave me on the paper. So I would have made a table like this, -3, 3.6, 5, and 2. And I would have typed them into list and spreadsheet like I just showed you. And here it's telling you your slope is -0.2. So it already gives you it as a decimal. And some of you did not type the negative. Some of you put 0.2. I saw some of you find 1/5, but you didn't put negative. So that's something that's very little but super important, and you should be able to tell right away. Okay. 2 more. Number 7. Again, this was a list and spreadsheet question. You just go type all of those numbers in. Or if you wanted to do it by hand, change in y over change in x. And you would figure out what's happening. So from here to here, I am minusing 36. And then I minus 27. And then I minus 18. And I've already figured these out by subtracting to see what was happening. Here I am adding 8, and then I'm adding 6, and then I'm adding 4. And you put change in y over change in x. So that's -36 over 8. What does that equal? Well, I already typed them in. So -36 over 8 is -9 over 2, which means your answer was A. But again, I'm going to show you that you could have just typed them in here. So -20, -12, -6, -2, and then I have 96, 60, 33, and 15. And it tells you your slope is -4.5. Well, if I look at my answers, -4.5, first of all, it's negative, which means that's gone and that's gone. And 4.5 is bigger than 1, which means the bigger number has to be on top. That's how I get rid of C. All right, the last one. What is the equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through these points? So again, lots of options. At this point, though, I would hope that you would type them into a list and spreadsheet. -4, 2, 12, and 6. And then you would go to your table here, and I'm going to change these out. So I have -4, 12, and 2, and 6. And it tells me my slope is 0.25, and my y-intercept is 3. So if I use that information, my answer here is D.